Well, hello everyone. On behalf of Agnitio and RMH Media, I want you to welcome all of you to today's webinar, How to Create Engaging Multi-Channel Customer Journeys. My name is Jonas Hastrup, and with me today, I'm pleased to be joined by Jonas Hero from RMH Media and Martin Thorsen from Agnitio. For those of you who might be unfamiliar with our company, Agnitio is a software house headquartered in Copenhagen. We specialize in digital go-to-market and communication solutions for the life science industry. Rainmaker, which is our flagship solution, is a multi-channel digital sales enablement platform currently used by some of the world's largest and most forward-looking pharma and medtech organizations. I'll just pass it on here to my name brother, who's also called Jonas. So Jonas Hero, could you please introduce RMH Media to the listeners?
Thanks for handing over to me, Jonas. First of all, before I begin introducing myself quickly, I want to thank you guys at Agnitio for the invitation attending this webinar. It's super fun, and so let's get it going. So as said, my name is Jonas Hero. I'm working as a software engineer at RMH Media based in Cologne, Germany. What we mainly do is build in digital media for all channels across any customer journey. And I have to mention that we are a purely technical company. So what we do a lot is working together and supporting content and creative agencies. We are doing that mainly in the area of healthcare marketing. So we gained excessive knowledge about how marketing works for healthcare, and that also enabled us to build our own tools for fully streamlined content production, as well for managing websites across the globe, a couple of hundred websites and tagging them. Again, it's super fun to work with you guys, and I'm really looking forward for our webinar.
Well, thanks you, Jonas, and it's also a pleasure, of course, to work with you guys. We will now go through today's agenda. First, we will introduce the client case as well as the goal and objectives of the client. Secondly, we will present the Rainmaker channels and a solution overview. Then we will show a live demonstration of the multi-channel customer journey. And finally, we'll wrap it up with a Q&A session. So please, throughout the webinar, please use the chat function to ask any question that you might have, and then we'll pick up on them in the end. Well, Martin, could you please introduce us to the client case?
Thanks, Jonas. Yes, of course I can. And I'd also like to thank you for the opportunity to share one of Agnitio's best customer cases in 2019. Where we used all our capabilities within the sales channels. So a case like this was just too good to not share with everybody, which is the primary reason why we're having this session today. Where we'll showcase how a client went from using analog paper detailing to digital e-detailing by using our powerful Rainmaker platform and the smart e-detailing content to create a true multi-channel customer journey. Firstly, it's our impression that many digital agencies and clients might not be aware of the capability of the Rainmaker platform from Agnitio. Secondly, we see that many clients are only focusing at one channel at a time, perhaps because it seems easier to overview and to get started with. So what we want to do today is to raise the awareness of how you could maximize the usage of the Rainmaker platform. So your client could get the most out of their investment and begin to use multiple channels for targeting and influencing the healthcare professional. So our hope is that this webinar will inspire you to raise your digital ambitions when you see what real-life multi-channel solutions could look like, and also hopefully show that only doing single sales channels isn't necessarily easier or harder than doing many at the same time. But first, let me go into some more details about the client, the past situation, and what the original aspirations were. The client is a leading medtech company inside wound management operating globally in Africa, America, Asia, and Europe. The client was doing face-to-face detailing with paper brochures and was looking for partners to help them go digital in their interaction and communication with the healthcare professionals. When the client joined the Rainmaker platform, the client was already in the process of developing digital e-detailing content together with a digital media production house, RMH Media. After a few meetings, it was clear that RMH Media had for some time been working on the content, but experienced challenges in order to achieve all the objectives of the content strategy, leading to a smooth customer journey experience. The client wanted to pilot the Rainmaker platform, introducing digital e-detailing in 2 markets, Germany and France. The strategy was to create a customer journey involving multiple channels to deliver the content to the HCP. This would give them insights and learnings using digital sales channels and would define future project KPIs. The client specifically had the following objectives: to be able to present all wound management products and related discussion topics to the HCP through a single piece of content, to collect the perception of the HCP segmentation, to collect the changed email addresses and phone numbers if they were changed, to collect the number of patients per HCP that had similar wound symptoms, to agree on the next date for visit, and of course, finally, to gain insights from analyzing the collected data.
Well, thanks, Martin, for giving us an overview of this very exciting case. But before we dive into the demo, I would like to really take a step back for all of the listeners to fully grasp the Rainmaker channel possibilities, and then we will continue with a demo of the final multi-channel customer journey. The Rainmaker platform offers a range of highly interactive and data-driven methods, ranging from a more traditional face-to-face e-detailing to more recent channels such as remote meetings, webinars, approved emails, and content on demand or personalized websites. Each of these channels are independent of each other, and we do have clients that focus only on 1 or 2 channels, for example, using e-detailing for face-to-face visits or remote meetings for call centers, just to mention a few. Regardless of the channels, Rainmaker enables life science companies to deliver targeted content to healthcare professionals when and where they want it, while collecting valuable insights on their behavior, content, and channel preferences. Now, let's have a look at the real customer journey as it was designed and executed. The customer journey starts with a sales rep having a classical face-to-face visit. From here, the customer journey becomes a more personal as the HCP selects the area of interest or need that he or she has. When the meeting is about to end, the sales rep will send an email that is configured and personalized from the input of the HCP as provided throughout the meeting. The personalized email contains a summary of the meeting and a link to a personalized website where the HCP can revisit the material from the face-to-face meeting. When clicking on the link in the summary email, the content on demand or microsite opens in a browser. The material that can be accessed through the microsite will be highly relevant for the HCP as it was chosen by the HCP during the visit. All the channel visits will automatically be synced to the Rainmaker platform and optionally to the CRM platform via an integration. The integration to the CRM platform will make sure to create the next meeting automatically based on the details captured in the face-to-face visit. In total, this gives a state-of-the-art end-to-end customer journey for the HCP. Along the way, data is being captured that are being turned into intelligent analytics that can be seen from a one-to-one perspective as well on an aggregated Salesforce perspective. The value proposition is that the HCP can always revisit the summary of the last visit from the summary email and further access the additional material in the microsite on demand. But now we get to the real exciting part. Jonas Hero from RMH Media will now show you a demo of how the journey takes place. And following that, Martin Dawson will show examples of the measures and insights that can be analyzed. But that said, we have to just inform that we are not, of course, showing the real content from the case. Instead, we are showing dummy content which are mirroring the successful case. So, Jonas, you can please go ahead and show us the live demo of the content.
Yes, thank you very much, Jonas, for explaining on a high level what I'm about to demo, which makes it really a little bit easier for me. So just imagine the sales rep is in a situation where he's about to see the doctor. Maybe he's sitting in the waiting room in the doctor's office, and he already has opened the Engager app, which you can currently see. He's getting prepared for the call, which is actually super easy in the dashboard. He just selects the content he's about to show, and of course, he is selecting the customer he wants to have a call with. So when he enters the room to the doctor and the conversation starts, he just has to open the call, and the content is going to be displayed. On the display screen with our content, we can see already what the story is about. So as you can see, the content is pre-segmented to pediatric treatment of bandages, and we're talking about the SMB med tech taking the first steps in digital marketing. One of the main challenges for this customer was that they have a very broad spectrum of products. So we really had to think about a way how to make these products visible, and especially how to combine these products. This leveraged the need to have different views on the product, as you can see here on the entry points of the main menu. But that also means that the customer wanted to know what would be for their customers the most interesting views. So what we do here at this point is we are tracking the entry points and provide it later on. So that is collecting a lot of data, of course, to do real and execute proper closed loop marketing. The challenge, or one of the biggest challenges, beside that they have a lot of products, was that they have a lot of possibilities to combine these products. And the solution we came up is a kind of product configurator. Let me quickly explain what you're about to see. So on the right-hand side, you have the source state from 4 to 1. So 4 is a very, very bad wound, and 1 is not that bad anymore. When I changed it, please have a look at the left-hand side, because you will see changing in the big picture, changing the wound itself, but also the pre-suggested combination of products. So this wound is rather easy, and here is again the worst wound, which is plague. The 4 circles in the middle, they represent the product categories and all the products our customer has in each category. To make it a bit more obvious, let's start with a new bandage. So right now, you can see the wound only, and the very first layer you apply in each wound is the primary wound dressing. Afterwards, you can add an absorber. These 2 layers of the bandage can be applied directly onto the wound, and they differ from the next one, which is fixation and a possible compression. So just imagine the doctor is currently interested in a little less bad wound, and he's asking the sales rep about to show him a source state 2 wound. They're starting to talk about the different products, and the sales rep is suggesting to use a different primary wound dressing. So they just open the flyout menu, you see all the products, and to change it. Please recognize when applying the different product that there are also complex product relations. Like when you have one product in the primary wound dressing, you need a certain absorber, which is also being managed by the overall tool we see here. So they continue talking about the product. And then it turns out that as the wound is not too bad, a fixation is needed, but not a compression. So the sales rep simply removes the compression and ends up with the final product. By now, when the doctor and the sales rep are aligned on the product, of course, they want to remind the doctor of what was just selected. And what we did is combining that on a summary sheet. So on this sheet, you will see the selected products, but there's a little more within. So the main KPI at this point in time is to send out an email to the doctor. To even increase the engagement, the sales rep will ask the doctor different questions. For instance, how many patients do you think will also have the need for the same treatment? Let's say it's 7. Furthermore, the doctor can, or the sales rep can put in a simple note to just remind about what they have just talked. In addition, and that is even more engaging, the sales rep will ask the doctor about the date for the next meeting, and the doctor will be reminded about the meeting in the next email. Just pick that the sales rep wants to see the doctor in 1 month. So by now, the content is, or the sales rep went fully through the content, and what he wants to do now is send out the email. That can very simply be done by share results. It brings up a small pop-up. What is interesting here, as you can see, that the email address of the doctor was already grabbed from CRM data. In addition to that, it is possible to change either the email address or phone number or both, and that data will be sent back to the CRM system and automatically integrated into the customer data. By now, when the call is over or before the call is over, the sales rep has just to hit the send email button, and there is in the top left and the bottom left corner, there's a small notification. And when the conversation, when the face-to-face meeting is over, the sales rep will exit the presentation. And the only thing that he has to do is synchronize that data into the Mobilizer cloud systems. That can simply be done by hitting the cloud icon. So what will happen in a second is that the doctor will receive an email in the inbox. Let me quickly demo that email. So here we are on the email client. So there's a greeting, and that is the very first interesting part about the email itself. So a strong requirement from our customer was to have the same visual representation of their product, and especially the product combination within the email and within the content of the presentation itself. So it's fully reflected here. In addition, as you can see, the data I just put into the forms before sending the email is also reflected. So what has happened is the data was transferred from one to another channel. But there's a last thing I want to highlight, which is the microsites. And just imagine that, of course, a conversation, a face-to-face meeting will be slightly longer than this short demo. And during that meeting, the doctor asked to have some documents right in the sense. And that opens the way to the next channel. And the doctor, the only thing he needs to do is just hit the download documents, and he will land on if you go to a small landing page, so the user journey gets transferred from the email client to the browser. And on that page, he requested maybe an overview of products. Next to that, he can by now see the document. Of course, he's also able to download it. So to conclude, what have we seen? We have seen a full user journey across 3 different channels. The starting point was the face-to-face call. And then the aim was during that call to allow the sales rep to send an email out to the doctor, which is really, really an important thing because it's a follow-up email, not a mass email. So it will be well received by the doctor. And in addition, a 3rd channel was opened, built by the Agnitio microsites. The special thing about that is that all data during the user journey of the HCP will be tracked. My colleague Martin, that concludes my small presentation, and my colleague Martin by now will share you some details about the tracking data collected during that user journey.
Super, Jonas. We'll just hand it over here to Martin from our side.
I'll continue. So thank you, Jonas, for the demonstration of the customer user journey, highlighting the key areas of the content. I'll continue with showing some examples of the analytics that's possible to create by capturing all these data points throughout the content and the Rainmaker platform. As a client was interested in collecting customer segmentation, number of patients, email addresses, phone numbers, as you saw, this can be inserted and captured by the content and it's presented in the analytics, which was custom built for the client. And besides the basic reporting measures listed in the top right section, specifically the client wanted insights about the number of events per channel and distribution of events over time, visible in the current slide, the distribution of entry points or slides when entering content topics, to identify the number of key messages delivered by key slides displayed, to identify the number of HCPs who moved up the adoption ladder by the change in segmentation from low to high, and the open rate from channel to channel, specifically from emails and microsite visits. Bottom line is that defining the KPIs from the beginning, as well as creating high quality content and data capturing, it was almost a trivial task, creating the custom analytic dashboards, making the KPI results clear and possible to get quick learnings to act on. Yeah. It's still me, sorry. So, but coming back to the previous slide, showing the customer journey, let's focus on the summary email and visit to the microsite. The interactions was tracked in the period from January to March 2019, and the results were an open rate of 20% and a click rate of 80%. And that means that more than 80% of the HCPs that opened the email also studied the material on the microsite. So as a takeaway, you can use these figures as a benchmark for your own future multi-channel projects. And so back to you, Jonas.
Well, very impressive with a click rate of 80%. That really implies that the content that the HCPs receive were very, very relevant for them, as almost everyone opened it. So really thank you for sharing that number with us. So now we are in the questions and answers part. So we have throughout the webinar received some interesting questions here. So let me just try and look at it for half a second here to pick out a really good one. There's actually one for you, Martin, here. That's about how you establish a good relation between the parties involved in coming up with this solution.
Yeah, but very short, I say that well, instantaneously when we started the project, we had a good relationship with RMH Media, and I think it was the willingness to cooperate and to stay transparent and honest, as well as being agile, that this collaboration led to a successful solution. And also having this flat organization with clear responsibilities between three stakeholders made decisions much faster. And another thing is that RMH Media actually came to Agnitio headquarters in Copenhagen in order to meet in person and to finalize the project, which it was a great experience, and it was really a fruitful thing. So we'll definitely do that again.
Yeah, it also shows how close the collaboration were in this project. I actually picked up another one while you were talking, Martin. So here's one for you, Jonas, Jonas Hero, because I know you have been in from the very start of this project. So can you? The question is about the intent and strategy behind the customer journeys. Can you come with some words around that topic?
Yes, of course, I'm happy to. So you need to remember what was mentioned at the very beginning, and that is the speciality of our customer that really was transferring from analog media, so paper folders, to digital media. Their overall aim was really to see the benefit of that. So the question, of course, they asked themselves is, why should we move from analog to digital? And to make that transparent to the whole company and see the benefit, especially it was very tracking driven. So there is, beside what we mentioned, there is a lot of tracking inside, and that was more or less the main driver of the overall project.
Cool. Well, I have actually a third question here. People are super active, so that's super nice. And it's also for you, Jonas. So could you put some words about how the solution was built from a technical point of view? Maybe get a little deeper, as this is also a webinar for agencies.
Yeah, of course. I'm happy that this question was asked. Before talking quickly about the technical implementation, I really have to highlight that our mutual way to work together, Agnitio and RMH, was the key to the success, because you enabled us to make those email templates we are using to send out the marketing emails, to make them dynamic. So, and as you have seen during the presentation, during the face-to-face call, the data is gathered dynamically. So the question was how to transfer that data into the email, and we did that by really having the opportunity or having the chance to put in dynamic data by using tokens. So for instance, if you remember the number like 7 or the node, it will be replaced, but it was a little bit more difficult for the image, of course. So just imagine, to get more technical, during you select your products and activate and deactivate the different categories, a JSON object is written in the data store of the iPad. And what we do when sending out the email, there will be an image attribute, an image tag, and the source attribute gets extended with that JSON object base64 encoded. And what we do is pointing that source not to an actual image, but to a serverless function, which is then grabbing up that base64 encoded JSON object and doing the very same thingy. It's actually the same code then in the presentation itself. It just compiles the current configured product, and the web service will return the proper configured or the proper built image then.
Well, that was a super explanation, Jonas. I think for the rest of the questions, we will get back later. Then I want to thank everyone for joining. We hope that you have enjoyed it and it has inspired you to venture into multi-channel projects. Though in the end, there will be a couple of questions in the system of the webinar, which we would be happy if you would take a quick minute to answer, of course. You can also comment if there's anything you would like to discuss or dive further into, and then we will come back to you and arrange a meeting. And here on the screen, you also see our contact data, so you can of course also use that if you would like to. With that said, we from Agnitio and RMH Media really want to wish you a great day, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you're calling in from. And thank you very much again for attending this webinar. So bye bye.
Yeah, bye bye.
Bye everybody.